So, you join me in a borrowed machine. I've been very kindly lent this for about 10 minutes, so real quick preview of this. 3CX dual drive, brand spanker, quick hitch front bucket, usual stuff, 50k box, it's a Pro, 3CX Pro. We've got the camera, which obviously at the moment is showing my little screen down here. I think there is a way to change my my camera input there so you can see different modes. I can't remember exactly how to do that yet. Literally haven't played with this, but thought we'd have a go as it was passing the job, and I thought, well, why not? You know, let's give a new Pro a go, because I haven't actually been on a 3CX Pro dual drive yet. So obviously, when it's in reverse steer, the rear wheels or the front wheels are then your rear wheels, and then of course your rear wheel steer. So it'd be interesting to see how it handles that, because I think it's something that one of the reasons that I think a 4CX would work really well for me, because I think they'll steer more naturally with the dual drive. But we will find out, because I think we can use this thing to lift in these concrete rings quick before Jarrett from Green Shields has to take this back to the depot, which is where it's going. So yeah, he's on his way home, was passing, and I thought, oh, well, you can pop in and see us. So here we are. She has done 37 hours. Nice. Let's have a quick play with it, because this is literally hot off the press, on the spot stuff. Right, select dual drive. That's all good. Handbrake off. Select forward, and work out where my steering is. There we go. Right, this will take some getting used to. Now, of course, the great thing with this I've found is if you knock it into neutral, it picks the revs back up and then drives like an excavator should, which of course is what you want. What I'm also going to do is just get the power slide into the middle so that I've got better balance, because I want to be offloading on each side. So slide that across. You good, Rick? Right, these are pretty heavy, these rings, and if I'm honest, I haven't got anything in the front bucket, because this machine has got a lot of paintwork still on it, and it'd be a bit rude to take it all off. I would normally run a... Right, so we're going to go that way now, which is reverse, which is actually forwards. That's the weird thing with this. Now, I have got a front-facing camera here, which actually is very good visibility. I can see both corners of the bucket. I just can't quite see where the wheels are, which you'd really like to see if you were going to be doing this sort of work. I have thought that a set of mirrors on jack legs wouldn't go amiss. But if you're reversing, really, you should be looking over your shoulder anyway, so it's all about getting a... Right, that's good. Handbrake on. Where are we going then, boys? So you can now run this like a wheeled excavator, really, because you don't need to change direction anymore, which is really efficient for some jobs. I can see this being really, really handy if you were doing curbs, working alongside the line, something like that, it would be incredibly good for that. That's it, and then that T just flicks down, that's it. Sorry Jarrett, we're getting you dirty.
That's right, no, I've got my invoice booked.
Do you want to do groundwork or did you want to sell a machine? Its pick and carry capabilities are good.
Yeah. Like I said, 1.6 tonne.
I think they're about that. Oh, maybe not. Does that one say? Is that 8? Maybe it's 8. There's 900 kilos actually there. So they're not quite as heavy as they're 1.2 diameter.
Still though, you can do a ton with that.
Yeah. Oh, if you got them lower to the ground, so the arm wasn't so far out, obviously, but it run a load in the front bucket as a bit of counterweight, and it works really well. So we don't need to flick round anymore because we can. I know it seems silly going in reverse to go backward, but you can.
Steering's really nice and light, isn't it?
Yeah, it actually works really well. It wouldn't take long to get a feel for it. So this machine is one of the first out of the factory to have the new electro proportional controls as opposed to oil over oil, which is what my current machine has, and these easy control machines have had for a long time. Now, I've got a problem with mine. The hoses they just rub where that seat's constantly turning around. It is an issue. Now we've got electrics essentially, so there's a lot less hydraulic hose to go wrong, but of course, you know, you've got electronics. Advantage and disadvantage to both. Lever feel feels okay, to be honest. A little bit different to mine. I think it would take, you know, a couple of hours of playing with it to get used to, and we're literally early on with this machine, aren't we? But you can see the hose routing down here around the seat is now a lot neater as well, because obviously it's just electrics in here, right? You're not playing with all those hydraulic hoses that used to route through. So another subtle improvement in the backhoe that maybe hasn't been that well publicised yet, and I think the 4CXs are due to go over to this early next year, but currently 3CX builds, if you bought one now, as of November 2024, would have the new Electro Hydraulic. So yeah, interesting. I have a quick look through the menu. It doesn't look like you can play with how sensitive they are like you can with some of the Cat machines, but I'm sure it could be done with a laptop, no doubt. So it's pretty early days for this, so yeah, just initial sort of thoughts on as we're sat here in this new machine. Right. It's quite easy to oversteer actually when you're doing this. You would not want any more than second gear. Definitely would not want any more than second gear. And that bucket does stick out a bit. It's a confusing thing to work out, this.
It'll take a while.
Just to get the hang of it, but I don't think you'd use it. I mean, we obviously, you know, I'm playing about with it here, but I think in reality you would use it, of course, but not so much for driving about like aimlessly, you know. It's.
If you got a trick to do the other side of that top, you couldn't ask for
I think ditching would be a huge win. It's short little work. You're not driving it in long or straight lines. But you know, it picks that up.
Yeah.
Free on wheels.
The front wheels are still quite firm.
You have to be careful, of course, but Right. Job done, I'll get out of these people's way. Let's go up the bank, don't I? Where am I going? So, it is possible. It's a weird thing to use, dual drive, especially with the 3CX. There's a lot of like rear steering going on. It's not quite as intuitive as the 4CX, but I can see the possibilities for it, and I think you do a lot of like shorter, maybe not driving quite so far length of distance wise. I think, but if you were ditching and you still want to shunt forward like half a machine length or a bucket's width almost with ditching, then there would be massive advantages to still be able to face front, quickly flick it forward. You can work with the legs up a lot of the time, especially with those 4CXs. They've got that bit more weight in them. I can see massive the with that. That would be pretty quick and start paying for itself fairly fast. I know a lot of the initial videos of dual drive have been people playing with it, as I am here really, and of course because it's a new feature you want to just use it a lot, don't you? I don't actually think it's more efficient all of the time. It's definitely something that is definitely more efficient in the right circumstances, but not necessarily all the time. Facing forwards, your visibility is always better. So the ability to drive forwards when you're going forwards and drive forwards when you're going backwards, in theory, I think is only a benefit. Driving backwards or driving forwards whilst facing backwards, or backwards whilst facing forwards, you can do it all, of course, you can do it both ways, but this machine, I think you'd end up using it in forwards, whichever way round you were facing, more than you would start reversing when you're still facing the back or whatever, and all of that. I think that's just how you'd end up using it, I get the feeling. But brilliant to be able to try it for an hour, this afternoon, and do a real job with this thing. Yeah, a couple of other features I need to show you on this, because it's got some interesting spec options which I haven't seen before, so let me talk you through those. So something this machine has that I've not seen in the flesh before, in the metal, is twin auxiliaries. So I looked at this as options because you could in theory run a 4-pipe tilt rotator setup underneath, which would be brilliant. However, how they've done it is they rob the flow from the extender. So up there you've got two valves that you close off your extra dig with, and then of course it converts it to running the rotation circuit, low flow, whatever you want to call it. This is still your high flow, your hammer, as they are standard, but you've then got this extra service here, which is all routed bi-directional, etc., up to the top of the dipper. So that's the only thing I think is a bit of a shame, is you wouldn't actually be able to run a tilt rotator that well with it, because you'd be stuck with the arm fixed at this length. And the one thing with the Backhoe, the main advantage is, this extra reach that you gain. It's a huge win. So interesting spec option. I've not seen it before, so thought I'd show it. It was available on those 5CX Wastemasters and things, but I've not seen it on a 3CX or even a 4CX before, so thought I'd show you that. Other than that, lovely spec, power slide. The XMCL tyres are lovely on the road, as I said in my previous review. Yeah, it's a nice machine. The new front quick hitch, I've said it before in my other video when I was at the quarry, I think it's way better. The width of the forks, that's sort of as wide, if you imagine them flipped over the bucket, that is as wide as they'll go. Now the bucket mounted forks would go a little bit wider, maybe, but I think that's wide enough now. It's probably wider than a Q-fit on a telehandler, to be able to pick up most objects, and 3-meter pipes and stuff, I think would be balanced well enough on the front of there. Of course, you do gain extra lift ability with a quick hitch. You can drop the bucket off, it's out of the way, much better visibility. It's got the camera, which I've said before, mounted down here, which you can see where your forks are now. Got the front mounted camera. That's the camera up there on the roof that allows you to see backwards / forwards when you're facing backwards / forwards, depending which way your seat is. Confusing to talk about dual drive, there's too many options. But yeah, nice, a lovely machine. I've only got the tyres a little bit dirty for him. Been good fun this afternoon having a quick play with this.